Ready?
Mm-hmm. It's on.
All right, guys, so this is gonna be my process of cleaning and taking the plate or the prints off the build plate and removing the supports and everything. So first step is turn off the machine. Make sure you're wearing a mask and gloves, because when you take this off, the fumes from the print will go everywhere, and if you're not in a well ventilated room, you'll be breathing in a bunch of crap in your lungs. So these printed for like 7.5 hours last night. The Medusa and the Thinker. And if you haven't been watching the last two videos, I showed you where to download these and how to set them up to print. So now I'm going to show you how to clean them. So before I touch anything, I like to have everything set up and like within arm's reach. So this is just a pickling container with isopropyl alcohol, 99.5%, and it has this little handle here so you can rinse and lower your prints without having to dunk your hands in here, because it will irritate your hands eventually. And then this is just another container. This is just water, and this is where all the supports go. I just break them off and leave them in here. And then you can tell these are a little cloudy. Eventually, when they're too dirty, I'll leave them in the sun and all of the resin will harden, and then I can reuse the alcohol. The water I'll toss. So after doing this a bunch of times, the way that I work is I try to touch parts that have resin on them the least amount. So this top section and the knob never touch the resin. So that's what I'm mainly going to try to touch. And then I just let whatever's left on there drip out. Should hold it like this. So there might be some resin trapped in the models. A little bit of goop. And it's just a couple drops of resin, so it's not really like wasting a ton of money, but every little bit counts. And you can take your plastic scraper and help it along. Just a little bit. All right, once you have a good amount of the resin off, and it's not dripping everywhere, move it over to here. And then I just take the plastic scraper and kind of fit it underneath the wedge and just slowly work my way underneath. And, see, once I get a little footing in there, I make sure that we're over this as best I can. The handle does kind of get in the way, but I just let it slide in. Same with the other one. Oop. It's all good.
Going in the bath.
Into the bath. And then I take this and immediately over here onto the paper towel. And that'll just wipe down later. So then I just repeatedly dunk these over and over. And then this brush actually came with the Elegoo Mars, but you could use a toothbrush or whatever you wanted. And once I dunk these a couple times, I'll take the brush and I'll just start brushing. And this just helps get that extra goop off. And then put it back in. Get the other guy. And dunk. Try to get in all those little crevices where the goo might be pooling. Throw it back in there. Dunk it a couple more times. And now I'll just show this first one and start snapping it off, because the Medusa has a lot of little supports that I'm gonna have to go through with this tool and snap off. Most of these, I'll just be able to pull off with my fingers because the supports are so light. So you can see a lot of these are just falling right off. Be careful though if you have small supports. See, they just snap right off. You can see some of the little guys in here. Kind of just clip them off. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see. For this bottom section, if there's a big flat base like this, and I have it printed up like this, I go through with my clippers and just start clipping away. I don't try to snap this off because it might do some damage to the model. So once I have the outer, start snapping it off. There you go. And you can clean this up later. I have a little Dremel tool. You don't want to really Dremel it before it's been cured. So a couple more to remove this bottom leg. These are very light supports because they're just crumbling off, but they really help when you're printing. Couple more here. You could probably go in with like a toothpick or something and start snapping these off if your clippers aren't really working. So I'm gonna give this guy one more bath. Brush them off one more time. Make sure if there's alcohol on the interior where the holes are, the drainage holes, make sure everything's out of there before you cure. And then I take a microfiber cloth and just wipe it down. So still a little bit of cleanup left to do, but I'm gonna let this guy sit in the sun for 5 to 10 minutes, and then I'll finish with like sanding the bottom and clipping away the rest of the supports, and he'll be good to go. Sit on the mantle or whatever you want to do with him. All right, thanks guys.